Welcome back to the Choose Wisely podcast, where I, your host, Alex Nderi, talk on the basics of life, faith, and relationships. Last week was about finances, where I talked about budgeting and cutting expenses, and the whole idea of greed versus faith. If you're leaving the inheritance of greed, or if you're leaving the inheritance on faith. And so this week is on time. Pretty much time management specifically. We're going to get into Ephesians 5 verse 15, where it says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil." And since we're in this world and we're living in a time of needing to be in a space of holiness, we need to have that in mind to walk wisely and make the best use of time. And so just like budgeting money, we're going to do the same thing with time. We're going to spend some more time on Google this time, and we're going to look at the average time spent on social media. Okay, so what Google says is that the average American spends approximately 2 hours and 14 minutes per day on social media, which I think is cap. Everyone had or has TikTok, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll. Even if it's all Christian content, you just scroll and scroll and scroll, and then it gets to the point where you reach the girl that tells you to stop, go outside, get some sleep or whatever, or like go eat a snack or whatever, and then come back, or they're just gonna tell you to do something like it's a Nickelodeon show, and then you just scroll and scroll and scroll even more, and you just ignore what they say. And then the brother pops up, and the brother tells you the same thing. Tells you to probably go outside, maybe tells you to brush your teeth, I don't know. And then you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then at some point, that whole family is attacking you on TikTok, just telling you to stop scrolling. I can keep looking on Google and see, because now it says how many hours a day does Gen Z spend on social media, which is still cap, which says 2 hours and 43 minutes. Because social media isn't just one thing. So I feel like just your whole screen time is the issue. And like speaking from experience, from going back to the quarantine days where everyone was just shut in, I believe I had probably like 7 to 8 hours of screen time a day, or probably even more, just depending on the day. Probably like at the most it would get to like 10 to 12, and that would probably just be off of like YouTube or Netflix, or plus TikTok, and then you have Instagram. You have all these social media apps asking for your attention. Then you have Snapchat and all these other things. They're just asking for your attention, because we haven't even gotten to like other things that we spend our time on throughout the day. So other people are in sports, other people have different activities that they do. Back to Google, where the average time people spend on like just doing activities is it's about like 5 hours a day, and that's not including the overtime work that people do, the extra workouts or whatever that they do for their sports. And then there's still people that work from like 4 to 8 hours a day. There's people that work 12 hours a day, and then there's people that will work constantly nonstop. They just go home, sleep, take a shower, change clothes, go back to work. And then there's other people that add like more activities into it, that add like TV, which I'm pretty sure the average is like from like 4 to 6 hours, and I still think that's like kind of cap, because like I used to be big on the show called The Office, and The Office, it has like 9 seasons, and you could just watch The Office nonstop over and over again, and it'd still be funny to me. So even if I knew that what was gonna happen next, it was still entertaining to me. And the same thing when I was younger, when I was watching Nickelodeon on all the Avatar, The Last Airbender stuff, and then like going back into all the Marvel movies and all that. Everything just requires your attention. And so I really do think the whole budgeting or the whole finances and this episode really collide together, because people say that time is money and money is time and all of these things, and then people are really just waiting to see how much time you're spending. And so like the thing is with like when it comes to like church, everyone's like waiting on church to end because they have things to do. They got that football game to watch, that basketball game to watch. Now that the playoffs are coming around, people are gonna start wanting to watch the playoffs. All the March Madness stuff is done. So then there's something else that's gonna be trying to attract your time. And so basically, to put all of these disciplines away is by just spending time with God, because how else do we spend our time? And so the 4 disciplines that you can stick with is, first is prayer, and then there's the word, and then there's giving, and then lastly there's fellowship. I'm pretty sure when I was like just scrolling on Google, the average time that like adults spend socializing is about 4 hours a month, which is pretty crazy. So the main question is like, what is even socializing? And so when all of these people, they go outside and they see their best friend, or they see their cousins or their sister or brother or whoever it is, it's really just passing by for good morale, really. Because as soon as somebody steps in, because as soon as like it gets to that awkward stage where people are just and it's just quiet in the room, just let it be silent for a minute. Just be there. Just be present in the moment. Just don't go on your phone and be like, what's going on social media? What's the latest meme? What's this and this going on? Just be present. And then that's when people try to substitute all of these different things in there. That's why people start drinking, because they need to open up or socialize or whatever. But really they just don't have anything to say, so they're just coping with it. And so with all of these disciplines, including fellowship, they all correspond into being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so praying, you're gonna be probably start on your knees, and then you're gonna be like, dang, my knees hurt, let me try laying down. And then it's like, dang, if I lay down, then I might fall asleep, so let me stand up. And then it's like, dang, if I stand up, then I can't walk. They're like, dang, I can't walk and close my eyes. And they're like, dang, I'm back to square one. And then after that, it's probably been like 30 minutes that have been gone. But then the thing is just to stick to it. And then there's the word, where you're just reading the word, even though if you don't understand, if you don't know the names, all of those things, you're probably reading and you're like, none of these people or any of these places have anything to do with me. I'm only here for Jesus. But the thing is that God is the word. Everything that is said in the word has life into it. And so when we're met with the word, we need it to break through something. We need it to break through our flesh, through our ears, through our eyes, and all of those things for it to work. So then giving, I probably won't speak on giving. Just go to the last episode if you want me to speak on giving. But now, when all of those things are dealt with and we become expectant of God and his timing, we don't really know like when things are gonna happen, when God is gonna open that door for me, or when God is gonna do a certain thing in my life, or the person that I've been praying for, or the situation that I'm in. And so the first thing is to understand the season that you're in. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it says that to everything there's a season, and there's a time for every purpose under heaven, where there's a time to be born, and a time to die, and a time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, mourn, dance, cast away stones, gather stones, embrace, refrain from embracing, gain, lose, keep, throw away, tear, keep silent, speak, love, hate, in a time of war and a time of peace. And so we have to understand what season that we're in. Are you in the season of just praying nonstop? Or are you in the season of giving, where God has just told you just to give this and this amount for a certain specific amount of time, and it just leads all back into prayer of where is God leading me to. So Romans 8 verse 26, it's the Spirit who helps us in our weaknesses, because we don't know what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. And so the Holy Spirit, he helps us search out the deep things and the deep things of God, which it says in verse 27 that now that he who searches the heart knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God. And so even the things that you're expectant of, you're probably not going to like it, because it has nothing to do with you, because you think that you're the main character. You're not the main character. But since you're under the King, just know that it all works together for you. It all works together for God. It all works together for you, because it's all according to the will of God. And in verse 28 it says, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. And then 29, for whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. So God knows everything that he's placed ahead of you. It's been predestined. You can go on to read the rest of that chapter, or even just the rest of Romans. And so from all the things that God has brought you through, and from all the places that he's taken you out of when he stepped into your Egypt, and he's taking you out, and he said that he's going to bring you to the promised land, it all points to a matter of believing and trusting him. And so in closing, in Deuteronomy 29 verse 2, I probably won't read the whole thing, but it says how Moses, he called all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land, the great trials which your eyes have seen, the signs and the great wonders. Yet the Lord has not given you a heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, to this very day. And then it says how he's led you through the wilderness, how your clothes haven't been worn out, and your sandals haven't worn out, and then how you've gotten food to eat, and all of these things, that you may know that he's the Lord. And then skipping to verse 12, he says that you may enter into covenant with the Lord your God, and into his oath which the Lord your God makes with you today, that he may establish you today as a people for himself, and that he may be God to you, just as he has spoken to you, just as he has sworn to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I make this covenant and this oath not with you alone, but with him who stands here with us today before the Lord our God, as well as him who is not here with us today. And then let's skip to verse 29. And it says, the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. And so going back to the beginning of this chapter, is at first that the Israelites, they didn't have eyes to see or ears to hear. We don't know what we're looking for. We don't know what we're supposed to listen to. But the thing is, for the work is to ask God just to open our eyes. And that's just our first prayer, just to open our eyes and to open our ears. As soon as he sees the faith in that, then he's able to open that door. And so make that your daily prayer, for the Lord to open your eyes and the Lord to open your ears, and for him to open your heart. So to close off that subject, a theme song just to captivate what's been said is Egypt by Bethel and Corey Asbury, which pretty much explains the whole last chapter that we read. And so then so now that we're in song suggestions, we're gonna bring it into the first one, which is Believe Forrest Frank Pretty sure he came out with the song. The song is called No L's by Forrest Frank. Even though that I've listened to it, that's not my song suggestion. My song suggestion is Ups and Downs, I believe. Yeah, Ups and Downs by Forrest Frank. Another song suggestion that I'd put out there for worship is No One Like the Lord by Jonathan Stamper. He's the one that did Dance Like David from with Circa Riders. And then there's Forever Yahweh, the version with Tiffany Hudson and Bethel Music. For a praise song, I'll do Goodbye Yesterday by Elevation Rhythm. And my last song suggestion, or really album suggestion, is Strike the Ground by Travis Green and Forward City. That whole album it's been really good over the past year or a couple years. I'm not sure how long it's been out. Yeah, the album's been out since 2023. So yeah, that's been all of my music suggestions this week. Next week, out of all of these episodes, I've had different topics and just basically just touching the outside layer of everything. And I wanted to do a Q&A for the last episode. Yes, the last episode of this season. If there was any clearance on anything, I'll probably just make a Google Doc where everything's anonymous. I won't know who's sending the questions, and the people that are listening won't know who you are either. So just any questions out there, just feel free to follow me on Instagram at choose.wisely.pod. I'll also make a post if you're probably on Spotify. I'll probably make a post on Spotify and make it on YouTube. Wherever my links are, I'll probably just post it all there. Also, don't forget to follow, share, and like. To stay updated, follow my Instagram at choose.wisely.pod. To follow my other socials, it is choose.wisely.pod. I'm pretty sure it's all together. Links are in the description down below. Everything is at choose.wisely.pod. Have a great day, be blessed, and keep your head up, keep going, and choose wisely.